Welcome to Movie Friends. We are your hosts, Seth and Michelle, and today we're talking about Newsies from 1992. Directed by Kenny Ortega, written by Noni White and Bob Zudiker, cinematography by Andrew Laszlo, composed by J.A.C. Redford, songs by Alan Menken and Jack Feldman. Starring Christian Bale, David Moscow, Bill Pullman, Max Casella, Marty Belafsky, Anne Margaret, and Robert Duvall. Michelle, how are you?
What's up, Seth? Seth is looking very Newsy boy-like. He's wearing a Newsy cap.
I got my Newsie cap. I tried to find suspenders and I couldn't find my suspenders.
I'm jealous. This morning we discussed that perhaps I would wear feathers in my hair to be a little meta, but failed.
Yeah, Miss Metalark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we will.
But before we get into it, we got a few emails.
Oh, wow. I am so nervous.
The first one, I gotta say, when this came across my desk, I got a big smile on my face.
Okay.
It's from Kate.
Kate!
Our good friend and patron.
Oh, no. Not oh, no, of like I'm not happy to hear from Kate. I'm just like real nervous about the feedback from last week.
Michelle has been like in a self-imposed hiding state since our episode on the producers came out. But you know what? I didn't hear anything bad, so yeah.
Okay. All right.
She says, Kate. Hi, Seth and Michelle. I hope that all is well with you. I recently listened to your Josie and the Pussycats episode. Like Michelle, I had somehow never seen this movie before, despite it being right up my alley. I thought it was a lot of fun, but the whole subliminal advertising thing seemed to me to be straight out of the episode of The Simpsons, where Bart, Milhouse, Nelson, and Martin are in a boy band and have a hit song, Yevon et Noij, which makes everybody suddenly want to join the Navy. According to Wikipedia, The Simpsons episode originally aired in February 2001, and the Josie and the Pussycats movie was released in April 2001. So, Simpsons did it first.
As they usually do.
Yeah.
Simpsons predicts everything.
Here's my celebrity encounter story. When I lived in Chicago, circa 2004, I worked at a Whole Foods store where Joan Cusack would sometimes shop. I got to bag her groceries for her once, and she was really nice. Supposedly, John Cusack came in sometimes too, but I was never there when that happened, and my coworkers said he was a real dick. Hope you guys are having a good week, Kate. Oh, no.
Well, I'm not too disappointed in that.
You know what? One good Cusack out of the two.
Exactly.
I'm okay with it.
We love Joan. Thank you for sharing, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. And I'm so glad that you watched this movie. Again, I said...
Look, Seth, you're doing the work.
If I can get people to watch these movies, that's like the only thing that I care about. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, thanks, Kate. We also got an email from Ben.
Of course we did.
And this one...
If he doesn't send, I'm worried at this point.
He says, this is the first time that I've been bummed out about how Mitch felt about a movie. I had a friend growing up who used to try to date rich old ladies for their money.
Who?
I don't know. We can't name names. Allegedly. Talking about Zero Mostel, he says, his hair is hysterical. The sock story is wild. Wow.
Uh-huh.
This is a big decision. I'll do it is me in a sentence. The sock story, by the way, is the story that I told last episode. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen. Truly a look into a disturbed mind.
I can't wait for you to come to my house again.
He says, P.S. Listening to this podcast, I realize that all Vargas children are crazy. P.S.S. Don't bother with the remake, Mitch. P.S.S.S. Katy Perry threw Orlando Bloom's 40th birthday party at my work. She had custom onesies made for every guest. I may or may not have taken one. She was the worst.
There is so much to unpack there.
It's true.
And again, just sprinkling it in.
And then P with a bunch of S's. My go-to order is everything Bialy toasted with butter and jelly. It's the best.
Ooh, butter and jelly is so good.
On an everything, though?
Yeah.
That's intense, man.
No, you need... I'm with you. I love a little sweet, salty combo. Yes. I take everything crackers and I'll dip it in hummus and jelly.
Ooh, interesting. Hey, if you want to be like Kate and Ben, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Also, we are like 2 weeks away, folks, from this drawing for this $50 Visa gift card just for leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts? Come on. Crazy.
Didn't that come fast?
You're going to kick yourself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you lose out on this opportunity.
I mean, what do you have to lose? Nothing.
We're also a month and a half away, almost to the day. Actually, 2 months. I don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself, but
yeah, please. You you almost made me throw up, Seth.
2 months
I don't need
almost
stress dreams
to the day of our live show in Albany. Be sure you make it January 13th. Yeah. It's a free event, all ages.
All ages.
It's going to be fun. We got some cool stuff planned. All right, enough of this stuff. Enough of the business. I'm going on strike from the business stuff.
Give us a headline, Sethy.
A nude corpse was found in a love nest.
Always use nudes. Always use nudes.
So before Michelle watches a film for the first time, she records her pre-watch thoughts. So let's listen to that real quick.
I truly have no idea what Newsies is about, except that it's a musical and it's a bunch of little boys wearing news caps. That's what I'm thinking. I am also picturing like Tiny Tim hanging out with Oliver Twist. They definitely have British accents, and maybe they're like stealing the press, like rolled up newspapers, and just trying to earn a penny. I wonder if any of this will be right.
So you were very close.
Wasn't I? I have to say.
Not British voices.
No.
Yeah.
But Christian Bale's British.
Well, Christian Bale's from Wales.
Oh, well, still though.
He is Welsh. But our friend Michael corrected us. Not the same thing.
Right, but UK. They're from the UK.
Sure. I think that's acceptable, right?
I hope so.
We should learn more about geography, huh?
Well, UK is England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland.
How do people in Britain ask if their friend is doing all right?
I don't know. How?
They say UK?
Oh.
Man, you walked right into that one.
I really did, and that was good, but I don't want to give it to you. Anyway, I thought I did pretty well with that prediction.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely did. And you had no prior experience with this movie, huh?
Just, again, seeing like the billboards for the musical with the news caps.
Yeah,
and
Broadway.
Hearing about, Broadway, and hearing about Newsies, the musical.
Okay, all right. So I don't always do this. I don't normally do this, but our patron Maria, who also happens to be my cousin.
Yeah, hi Maria.
When I decided we were doing Newsies, I messaged her, told her, she said, wow, this is my lucky day. And then when we got closer to recording, I sent her another message, and I pretty much demanded that she send in her thoughts on Newsies because she had a few funny stories. And I was like, I need for people to hear this.
Okay.
And so we're going to cut over to Maria before we begin our discussion because I just need for people to hear this.
Hi, movie friends. It is Maria, and I have so many thoughts on Newsies and feelings about Newsies that I reinstalled the voice memo app on my phone that I haven't used in 3 years just to tell you some of my thoughts about it. Some backstory about Newsies. I feel like the first time I watched it was in 7th grade choir. I don't know if I immediately became obsessed with Newsies or if I went home and told my family that I had watched Newsies that day, and then it kind of spiraled out of control from there. But I do know that the culmination of this obsession was that the following summer, my younger sister and I, we watched Newsies 31 times in 30 days, once every day, twice on one day. And on the very last day, my sister and I dressed up as characters. I ended up dressing up as Jack Kelly, and I remember putting a bandana around my neck, and probably, I assume I had a cowboy-esque hat. And then my sister Anna dressed up as Crutchy, which was, I'm sure, prompted by the fact that my mother had injured her foot that summer and had to use crutches. So we had them lying around. And I do also remember at the end of that obsessive period that I sat my sister down in my room one night and was like, I can recite the movie Newsies from start to finish, including the songs, without the movie playing. And I did. I did the entire movie as a one-woman show, the vagina monologue of my era. Anyway, I cannot explain why this became such an integral part of my childhood. Let me give you a few vignettes from the movie that stick out to me. One is the intro song. There's a scene where Crutchy, who is by and large the best character in the film, sings the line, "I'm no snoozer. Sittin' makes me antsy. I likes livin' chancy." But as children, we thought he was saying lemon chancy, and that this was like some kind of old-timey dessert that we didn't know what it was, which, I don't know why he would just interject that, hey, I like this dessert into this song lyric, but that's what we thought. So my sister and I took it upon ourselves to create a recipe called lemon chancy. I do still have the recipe, so I will be emailing it to you. It is absolutely grotesque. I'm sure we ate all of it, but I will say it does involve some Pillsbury sugar cookie dough used as a crust of sorts. So I don't think it was bad. I think it was probably really sweet. There are, now that I'm thinking about it, way too many scenes that I could get into because I love this entire movie. But I just think it's great that Disney decided to make this movie about labor union disputes and orphan children. And that's such a grim topic. And they were like, let's make that into a musical. And as a kid, I just ate it up. And as an adult, and I'm not a Newsies in general fan. I have seen the Broadway show and I was like, yeah, this is okay. But there's something specific, some certain magical combination in the movie that started my decade-long crush on Christian Bale and led to some kind of psychotic break, it would seem, based on the amount of times that I watched the film. But I'm grateful to everyone involved in this movie for enriching my life.
Amazing.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
It's amazing. And just the loveliness of childhood.
Yes. Yeah.
And nostalgia.
Yes.
Lemon Chancy, send it my way. We should eat that on YouTube.
Lemon Chancy. Hey, come to our live show. We will have free portions of Lemon Chancy available.
Yeah. Have you ever had it?
No, she sent the recipe. This is something that I knew from talking to her previously. And I think I've even seen the recipe for it. But yeah. Maria, super talented baker. She had her own food blog for years, really awesome, high quality stuff. And she's probably like, no, Seth, don't talk about that right now. So the recipe looks like a real recipe. But yeah, I'm so impressed with this. I've always wanted to do a thing where I watch the same movie every day for a month just to see what would happen to my brain.
Yeah.
And also being able to recite I want to see this performance from her sister's perspective. Just sitting in this chair as your older sister does the whole show for you.
It's fantastic, and songs included.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Maria.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. That was I was editing that and I was just like, this is so funny.
It's gold.
I love this so much.
So good. I have a Newsies story, but I don't know. It's Newsies adjacent, but I do want to share it. Is this now the good time to share it?
Yeah, I also have a Newsies adjacent story. So let's just get all of our Newsies stories out of the way.
Here's the Newsies news. Okay. So back in 2010.
Extra. Sorry.
Here's the headline. Okay, I was a production coordinator on a short film.
Yes.
And I worked in the casting part and I got to read lines, which truly I look back and I think that's when I was the most happiest in my life, is when I was reading lines with potential people to be casted in a film.
Nice.
Anyway, it was a short film about time travel. The short film didn't become of anything.
Okay.
But the young person that we cast was Mike Feist.
Whoa.
Mike Feist.
Crazy.
Do you know who he is?
Of course.
I will never forget his audition. He comes in and he does the most amazing job for this character. And I remember being the production coordinator and I read lines back and forth with him and sitting there and being like, this kid, we should hire him. But like, what do I know? I'm the production coordinator.
Right.
And then the producer and the director, they're like, we should hire him. And I was like, yes. And then he went on to be in Newsies.
Mm-hmm.
He's Tony nominated, went on to be in Dear Evan Hansen. Then he goes on to be Riff in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I discovered Mike Feist, but I'm kind of saying I discovered Mike Feist. Anyway,
I didn't know that's where we were going, but I'm glad that's where we ended up.
I went down a wormhole last night of like looking at like Facebook stills from the time we made this movie. And then I was like looking at his Instagram and I was like, there was a time when we were like all commenting on each other's Facebook pages, but that is no longer a thing. But like, wow. His audition, I will never forget it.
And I'll tell you, his voice from West Side Story. I mean, I think that's just his voice, right? He sounds like a Newsie.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio, but
in West Side Story, it's the most like, hey, yo, New York accent.
No.
Yes.
No, I mean, well, yes, but that's not how he like sounds. If you watch, I watched a lot of interviews with him because I was like, oh my God, Mike Feist. I can't. And so since then, like anytime we see him in headlines, I send it to my friend. I'm like, oh my God, remember Mike Feist? Like we worked with him when he was like up and coming.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, your Newsie story.
Now I'm afraid to tell my Newsie story.
Why? We're sharing. This is open forum.
It's not as fun as Mike Feist. I'll tell you that much. So my sister Elizabeth, one year for Christmas, bought tickets for me and herself and I, to go see Newsies. This was like when it was opening. It wasn't opening night. It was the next night. So close to opening night, right? It's weird because we don't really like go to a lot of Broadway shows. I don't know why this happened, but it was cool. It was very nice of her. So we go into the city. We're on the train in from Long Island and everyone's like drinking. You know, people drink on the train. I'm like, man, oh man. Then we get into Penn Station and we're like, everyone is drinking. Everyone is wearing green. Oh no, it's St. Patrick's Day. And we realized that we went into Manhattan on St. Patrick's Day. And we were just like arm in arm, like huddled together, like running through the streets. Like we must get to the theater. We get to the theater. Great show. Standing ovation after the opening number. I kid you not, for like 15 minutes. Like it just kept happening. And then like it would start to die down. And then as the audience, we would all look at each other and be like, ah, and just start clapping and screaming again. And the actors are like holding their pose the whole time. Like, and I agree with Maria. Like it's cool. It's not what the movie is. And I think I have a reason for why it doesn't work the same way. Anyway, we had such a good time. We completely forgot that it was St. Patrick's Day in New York City until we leave the theater and we're like, oh no. So I held my pee the entire show because I'm not leaving for Newsies. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I have to use the bathroom. So we get to Penn Station. The line for the bathroom is like out the door. And people are peeing like 3 feet away from the urinal because everything is just covered in, I'm just going to say human wastes, various types. And as I'm waiting, I looked in, there was an open stall door. So imagine a toilet and then imagine like 2 feet high, just beer bottles, beer cans, red cups, and various other human waste forms just mounded in this toilet. And I was like, we as human beings are disgusting and maybe should not continue living on planet Earth. And that's my Newsie story.
It's a great Newsie story.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just want to get to Newsies.
Yeah, it was literally like that. Like just
yeah.
bustling through the streets scared that someone was going to, I don't know, throw up on us.
Totally.
Anyway, what did you think about Newsies?
Well, it's fun. It's a little too long, though. I think we could
I agree 100%.
trim it
I agree 100%.
a little bit.
I'm totally ready with my cut, edit, keep later, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm very ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Kids smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Little Max Casella.
Yes.
He kills me.
Did you ever see Doogie Howser when you were a kid?
Of course. That's how I know him.
Yes.
Yeah. But he loves his cigars.
Yeah.
Just
of course.
waking up and smoking them. I'm like, this would not be made today. They wouldn't show the kids smoking.
No. But hey, it's truthful. Everybody smoked.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like if I saw this as a kid, I wouldn't be like, yeah, give me one.
No part of this is like, yeah, I want to be a newsie.
I want to be a newsie.
Yeah. My son watched it with me, and in the scene where Jack is like, hold on, let me think. And he's like smoking. And then Racetrack is like, hey, Jack, you done thinking? Anyway, when he's smoking, my son said, well, I hope he's over 18. And I said, I don't think he is, kid.
No, that's not right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's how smoking is portrayed in media nowadays, that he thinks,
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
No
That's
smoking
good.
here.
No smoking here.
So it's fun. It's too long.
Yeah.
Were you, like, by the end of it, were you, like, tapped out? Did it come back around for you in the end?
No, it came back around.
Yeah.
It came back around. But I think because I started watching it, then I took a break and I ate.
Mm.
Then I went back to it. Then I took a break and I went on the treadmill and I finished it while on the treadmill.
Wow.
So it just felt like it was taking forever.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining for sure. And how I've never seen it. And my sister's never seen it. Here's another one that escaped our household.
Well, nobody saw this movie.
Well, it seems like people in my life have seen it, though.
Yeah, this was a movie that did very well with the home market.
Yeah.
Like, I've never talked to someone who's like, I saw Newsies in theater.
Oh, that's got to be a rarity.
Yeah, I just said in theater. I meant to say in theaters. I just wanted to clarify that so people don't think I'm crazy.
I didn't think that was weird.
You don't say, oh, Father, take me to see Incredibles 2 in theater.
On that note, do you say I'm going to watch a movie or I'm going to go to, like, see a movie? Growing up, I had a friend who would be like, yeah, I'm going to go watch this movie this weekend. And I was like, no, I'm going to go see the movie. Like, I'm going to go see Clueless.
I've never thought about, hey, let's go see this movie. Hey, do you want to go watch this movie?
Isn't that weird? Watch is what you do at home on the couch.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought about those two things being different before.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Very different.
Hey, if you think they're different, let us know. moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email.
Please.
Is seeing and watching different? So tell me about Christian Bale.
He's such a babe. What else is there to say?
See, I don't have that attraction to him. So it's funny to me, like, that's people's, like, go-to.
I know.
Yeah.
Which we shouldn't judge him on that. He did a fine job acting as this 17-year-old kid. My first come to love of Christian Bale is Laurie from
Of course.
Little Women, 1994. So
of course.
To me, hard eyes. And this is 2 years before. So I still had the hots for him. I'm like, this isn't weird. He's 17, but, like, it's fine. He's not 17 now.
Who is more of a dream boy, Jack Kelly or Laurie?
Laurie.
Really?
Well, I think because, like, actually, I don't know about that. But
Laurie's a little.
It's nostalgia. See, that's what kicked in right there for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Laurie, but Laurie's got his problems.
He sure does. And then it's like, oh, you got with Amy because you couldn't with Jet, whatever. We could save that for whenever we do Little Women. But I think with Newsies, what I kept thinking over and over, and I wrote it in my notes, is that you would make a great newsie because you're great with coming up with headlines.
Me?
Yeah, so you would sell those papes. Just as Jack says, like, you got to make up. You're like exaggerating what's in there.
You're improving the truth.
That's you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. What would your newsie name be?
Oh, man. Probably Ruby.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Or like Mitchum.
Right. Because almost nobody has real names in this movie. And I was just laughing so hard. At one point when they go to Brooklyn,
oh my God.
Hey, what's up, 10-pin? 10-pin? Like,
I love
come
Spot.
on.
Spot Conlon.
Spot Collins. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
That's a name for a dog if I've ever heard one.
But I think yours would just be Sethy or Sethel or whatever.
Maybe mine. I mean, knowing the Newsies, mine would be like Tubby or something.
No.
Hey, here comes Fats.
Fats. He sells a good headline, though.
Yeah.
The accents, though, like I get that we're in late 1800s New York and it's a conglomerate. It sounds crazy. It sounds very like Boston, New York. It's a lot going on.
Yeah. Max Casella.
Yeah.
That's just how he talks.
Yes, I know. So he was fine.
Christian Bale. Again, this dude from Wales. Look, okay, so obviously I love this movie, right?
Sure.
And so I think all of it just kind of piles on top of itself to make this like very unique and interesting thing. And the accents are just part of it. Crutchy's
Crutchy, I think, is the most relatable to New York.
Okay.
Like, to me, he sounds the most New York today.
Yeah.
And then, like, David has no accent.
Sure. Yeah.
He sounds very much today, too. And then you got Jack, where I'm like, we got a tinge of... This is you.
Yeah. How you doing, Mr. Wiesel?
Weasel.
Weasel. A little anti-Semitic, maybe. I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about that one, but...
Well...
He does act a little Weasley with them, so it might just be a coincidence.
That's right.
Can you imagine if that's his Newsie name and they just didn't know his real
Exactly.
Like when he corrects them, they're literally like, what are you talking about? I didn't say that. I said Weasel.
Right.
So Newsies is a musical about forming a union busting, scabbing, child labor, child imprisonment, pumping up the numbers for your child prison so that you can skim off the top from the government. Crazy. This is the first Disney musical in like 12 years. They did not make live action musicals pretty much throughout the entire 80s. The last one that they did was Popeye. You know, everyone's favorite movie, Popeye.
This was live action?
Yes. Robin Williams.
I've never seen
Shelley
it.
Duvall.
Never even heard of it.
No one has seen it. It's not good.
Have you seen it?
I have not. I plan on it though. I plan on it. Yeah. It's like a Robin Williams thing, you know.
Yeah, how could it be bad if him and Shelley are in it?
Well, maybe we'll have to find out.
I think we should.
Yeah.
We should dive into that vault.
So Disney doesn't do any musicals. This is their first foray back. And this is built in the tradition of like classical musicals. You know, we've got the chorus, we've got the dancing, we've got the backlot sets. I did think it was so funny. And I was like, it's supposed to be 1899, so you can kind of get away with it. Over any building in this is just blue skies.
I know.
It was like a one-story pharmacy, and behind it, nothing for miles and miles.
Well.
But it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Directed by Kenny Ortega, who would go on to do, you know, High School Musical.
Yeah.
High School Musical 2. High School Musical 3.
He did the Gilmore Girls episode, the dance episode.
I believe it. He you know, he's great. You look at his stuff, he's good.
Yeah.
He also did Hocus Pocus the year after this, which is like pretty wild that this flopped so hard. And then the next year he produced one of their like best live action movies of the 90s. Yeah. It's not just about unions and like union busting and stuff like that, but it's also about, it's such a weird like American centric movie. This idea like even like Jack wants to leave because he feels like the hopelessness of just like working for your entire life for somebody else to like make money. But then his goal is to just like move out west, which was like a really big thing in America. It was like, hey, let's go out and find a place where like we can be kind of like the master, even though it's displacing people who already live there. And it's just such an odd choice of a story for a kid's movie. Like, do you think this is a kid's like, did this feel like a kid's movie to you?
Yes, because it's a bunch of kids dancing around. I mean, it felt very much like Annie, Oliver.
Sure. Okay.
So, yeah.
It just seems so heavy. Like
about kids for kids.
Two of the main characters go to prison.
Yeah.
This movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think depending on what age you watch it, you'll pick up on different things. Like if
Definitely.
I was a young kid watching this, I'd be like, oh yeah, those are the bad guys. Those are the good guys. Here's the singing, dancing.
Yeah.
I'd probably mimic the accents and go around saying like, I sell papes.
Yeah.
You watch it a little bit older, you're like, oh, I'm starting to understand the storyline.
Yeah.
Watch it even older and so forth.
Yeah. Definitely as a kid, like the biggest things that stood out to me were just the themes of like the people who are completely powerless and the people who have like all the power. Like Crutchy getting beat up by the Delancey brothers.
Yeah.
And then like being like, nah, I'm going to stay in prison because I can't walk now. As a kid, I was like, wow, money is bad. And like
you picked up on that as a kid?
Definitely. And I've talked before about how like my mom was very hippie, you know, and like taught us from a young age that like Christopher Columbus was evil and all that stuff.
Yeah. So. I mean, I guess I probably picked up on that too, but I would have been more, Sam and I probably would have just been trying to like learn the dance moves.
Yeah.
And playing the soundtrack over and over and like pretending we were Newsies.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Christian Bale did not know this was a musical.
Was it presented to him as a musical?
I think that they had the kids, because I also saw an interview with David Moscow, who plays Davey. And he said, you know, I went in and did my first audition and it went really well. And then they said, okay, when you come back for your second audition, you have to bring a song that you know and like a dance that you've choreographed yourself or something like that. And Max Casella said the same thing. He's like, yeah. He's like, I came back and saying, Fly Me to the Moon by Sinatra. So I think that they were just like, let's find kids who can act first.
Which is clear. In this.
And then we'll teach them. And they did. They went through like singing, dancing, martial arts, stunt choreography boot camp for like months prior to filming, which is... So this production was long.
Yeah.
The movie still only cost $15 million, which is pretty insane. The only thing I can think is that they paid these kids like nothing to
like they were Newsies. Right. They made them Newsie wages.
Right. They were like, all right, you gotta buy your role.
That's right.
And at the end we'll sell it back to you.
I mean, like, there's something to this when they're singing. Like, to be honest with you, it's not great singing.
Correct.
But it's believable that these kids would sing in their situation if they were singing.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And that is my big thesis for why people who love the movie don't love the musical.
I can only imagine the musical is like, you know, it's Broadway.
It's breathtaking dancing.
Sure.
The dancing, at one point they do a dance where they put down newspapers under their feet and then like spin on them. And it's like
so cool.
It looks like the most dangerous thing that you've ever seen. And then they're like ripping them into smaller pieces and like hop. And you're like, oh my God, don't do that. This is so scary. Great. It's really great, but it's different. And this, you know, I said when I tweeted about this, I said, I finally broke down and we're going to do a Disney movie, but this is the only punk Disney movie. So it's okay. And I feel like that because in punk music, being able to play and being able to sing isn't a requirement. And in this movie, being able to dance really well.
Well, I don't think
being
that
able
was
to
the
sing
intention.
really well isn't a requirement. You know what I mean? It's like, it's about young kids, dirty, rough, and it is dirty and rough.
Yeah. It's like if these kids decided to do a musical, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So did the singing like take you out of it at all?
Just the Santa Fe song.
Oh,
you love it. Like, spoiler, we are cutting that and editing it. Like, I get what point it's driving home. It's too long.
My favorite song is Santa Fe.
My favorite song is King of New York.
That's one of my least favorite songs.
It truly shows who we are.
Santa Fe. I sing that all the time. Like all the time. I'll be singing it in the car by myself, just like crying. Just like, why can't I catch a break? Just imagining myself as like a young teenager who's literally living on pennies a day in New York City.
And now it's because you fill your schedule up and you are doing way too much. You're singing about Santa Fe.
Nah. Well, now I'm talking about Santa Fe, so I'm happy.
I guess so.
But I know we've pretty much only talked about Christian Bale, but I love him in this movie. I love him as an actor. He's one of the greatest actors of our time. And I think he's proven that over and over and over again. And a lot of the time he's playing an intense kind of angry character. And here he's got like a slight edge to him. But when Les and Davey first show up, he immediately just hops into like, hey, how you doing? Hey, you want? And like maybe he's trying to pull one over on them a little bit where he's like, 70-30, whatever.
Sure, that's a cute kid. Let me use him.
Right. But he's still very nice and friendly to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's laughing, he's singing, he's dancing in this. It's just so fun to see an actor that we're used to seeing in intense, dark roles playing Jack Kelly in Disney's Newsies.
I think because I really only know Christian Bale as Laurie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know him as Batman.
Right. It's not like that big of a jump for you.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. So, and in my notes, I literally put LOL, Jack solo moment, Santa Fe, edit. And I put LOL. Wow.
Yeah, I just love. I think it's so great. I think Bale. I read an article, long article. There was like a profile on him. I think it was maybe from like 1997 or 8. It was after he had done this string of movies throughout the 90s that all kind of didn't do well. I mean, his debut with Spielberg, Empire of the Sun, also didn't do well. But the author of this was like, all of these movies suck, but he's good in all of them. And my guess is that he will continue to be like a huge star well into his life. And it was only a year or two later that he does American Psycho. And from American Psycho forward, it's like,
I've seen that. Right.
Christian Bale is Christian Bale. And this is a person to be taken very seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You love Santa Fe. I don't. That's all right. That's
the article that I sent you where they're asking him, because they're making note, like Maria, of like all these people who are just obsessed with him. And like, this is in the early days of the internet. And they were saying how his fan sites were getting like hundreds of thousands of visits every month, where other contemporary actors of his age were getting like tens of thousands. Yeah. And so they were just asking him like, what, anyway, I'm not going to say it, but
it's funny.
Okay. Christian Bale as Jack, he's very good at like rousing you. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
When he says, when the circulation bell starts ringing, will we hear it? And everyone yells no. I'm like ready to like jump off my couch and start a riot. I'm like, yes, let's burn this whole thing down, Jack. I'm with you.
I subscribe 100%. He's so charming. Lead me. Let's do this.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about, I want to talk about like Davey and Les, but like also just like his whole family. Like, how did you feel about that?
Well, the family was very sweet. And I love that he got to go home and have a nice dinner. And also for him to, experience that. Very early on, I kind of figured out that there was no family. He was kind of, making this up probably for himself to get through it. I mean, I didn't know that they were dead when his mother was dead, right?
Yes.
His mother's dead. And I just love how open his family was. And then as soon as we saw Sarah, I was like, well, hello, love interest. Yeah. But it didn't bother me too much. She was sweet.
It's fine. I feel like my biggest thing with Sarah is that when we get the majority of Sarah's stuff, it's in the part of the movie where I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Davey. I like his family. Davey and Jack are based on two real like strike leaders from the 1899 strike. One of them was actually called David, but the character of Jack is based on.
Isn't it like Blink Ryan?
Yeah, Kid Blink.
Kid Blink.
Yeah.
Blink Ryan.
And when we get to the part where Jack turns into a scab, which is my least favorite part of this movie, and I think it's like, oh my God, that's also based in reality. Like a lot of things, like I've seen this movie 50 times in my life, probably, no joke. And there's always been things about it that kind of bothered me. And then researching it more for this episode, almost everything that bothered me was answered by like historical accuracy. Like, for example, Pulitzer, Robert Duvall, great actor. Great. So weird in this movie. Like, did Pulitzer
Really
weird you out?
Yes. And a lot of times I found myself having trouble to focus on him and what he was saying.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You're like, well, that wasn't the answer I wanted, Mitchums, but okay.
Well, like when he's like, okay, yeah, Hurst and I will do this. He starts doing like a Tevye "If I Were a Rich Man" dance with his arms.
Yes.
That makes you think like, oh, are we about to get a Pulitzer song? But then it just ends.
Uh-huh.
And then like anytime there's noise, he's like, like acting all weird and crazy. And I found out that like the real Pulitzer was diagnosed with like extreme noise sensitivity. And so they just like put that into this movie, but they never explain it. And so like a lot of this stuff, like Jack turning scab for 12 hours. It's like, why even do this? I get, okay, this is where he discovers the printing press. They could have done that 100 different ways.
Yeah, but I think it had to drive the point home. He seems like a traitor.
Right. But like Jack, I get why they did it. But it's just like for him to turn back so quickly.
I get it.
It's like, all right, well, that detour was just a detour. I don't know.
I agree. And it didn't seem like they did it to like prove a point, but it didn't hit hard because it didn't last long.
Right.
And by that point, it felt like we were just like, okay, we're trying to speed things up. Mm-hmm. Like we could have cut some of the Santa Fe scene.
Oh my God.
Number.
No.
And made more room.
So here's what's sick about that is that I've never been able to find it, but supposedly he had a whole lasso routine in that. So like Santa Fe was already cut down. This might be urban legend. This might just be, homeschool kid newsy talk. But supposedly he had to practice and train and like learn how to do like, how you can make a lasso, like do like stiff circles and stuff. Yeah. He had a whole other dance sequence in Santa Fe that they cut. Yeah, so you saying that Santa Fe should be cut more is like reopening a wound that I've had to live with my whole life, knowing that I'll never see the Jack Kelly full Santa Fe dance.
So sorry. Also, can you make a Substack or a newsletter called Homeschool Newsy Talk? I need that in my life. I need that headline coming through, that publication to my inbox.
Listeners, if you ever find yourself in the presence of a homeschool kid, take my advice. Ask them what they think about Newsies. Guaranteed. This is a Seth guarantee. They will have a lot of thoughts.
Seth approval. Stamp.
Yes. They will be like, oh, I love Newsies. How do you know about Newsies?
It's like your code.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff they put in for historical accuracy, but just I feel like it ends up coming across kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that they change is Meta Lark, which, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about Meta?
Well, at first I'm like, are we mommy vibes?
Right.
Are we lover vibes?
Right.
Are we both vibes? Do you just love him and you stand with the Newsies as an ally? It's giving all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's confusing and uncomfortable as a child, I can tell you. It's weird.
It does feel uncomfortable. He's 17.
He's 17. This is 1899.
The oldest, it seems.
Back in 1899, he probably would have had 3 kids by now,
Yeah, right. Like Davey's probably the same age, right? 17, maybe. I feel like Jack was the oldest.
I definitely feel like Jack is he's among the oldest for sure. Yeah, there's some other kids who look as tall as him, I guess.
The Delanceys, maybe.
Oh, well, we got to talk about them.
Okay, but Meta, go ahead.
So Meta was based on Ada Overton, who was a black vaudeville performer. She's credited as possibly the first ever black female choreographer of a Broadway show. She performed like internationally, and she was like historically she was like both sympathetic and like helpful to Newsies during their various plights. They switch her into Metalark, which I don't really know why. I don't know why they would do that.
Why did we have to do that?
Right. Because
I was reading in the Broadway shows they cast her appropriately.
Yes. And when I saw the Broadway show, not knowing about Ada Overton or Annie Kelly, which is the newspaper character that they turned into Bill Pullman, who was a female reporter, I was like, oh, wow, they changed Bill Pullman into a woman and they changed Meta from Swedish into African American. Okay, this is interesting. I guess they updated it for a modern audience. Come to find out, they didn't. They just went back to the actual history from 1899. So the early 90s version was like, nah, we can't do that. No.
Right. Early 90s, that's lame.
Yeah, super lame.
But I can imagine growing up and getting used to seeing something and then seeing and you're like, oh, I'm not connecting. I'm picturing Meta as someone else.
Yeah, the show was weird because they also changed the lyrics.
Yeah. And
so you'd have the whole Broadway theater is like singing along, and then we would say one word and they'd be like, instead of that's my cigar, I'd be like, that's my vape pen. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Be like, shut up, homeschool kids.
They should have put up a sign at the beginning that was like, attention all homeschool weirdos. Don't sing along too loudly because some of the words are changed.
You won't know them.
You are not a real newsie.
No, get out.
Yeah. So you're into King of New York. Mm-hmm. How come, if I may ask?
I just liked how upbeat it was and how everybody's singing what they would have if they had.
Yeah.
I love a moment. I love slamming on things. I'm
okay.
Like, yeah, we're all kings of New York. Yeah, what'd you have?
Right. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, I don't know why. That one's never really... I definitely think Meta's song is my least favorite. The first one.
Oh, yeah.
Lovey-dovey baby, or,
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, what?
I didn't even count that.
What are we doing here? And, like, it sucks because this movie has, like, so much energy, and then we just have whole moments where it's just like it gets deflated.
It's a little snoozy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Newsies get snoozies.
It's true.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I said we were going to mention the Delancey brothers. The thing that struck me the most this time, and we know that musical logic isn't real logic, but like in the opening song, they're talking about their lives. They're going around. They're getting water and bread from the nuns, and they're having fun. But it's not like they're like, we're stealing stuff, and they're just going to work. They're on their way to work. This is like Whistle While You Work,
right?
But for boys. And then they encounter the Delancey brothers, who are like Weasel's enforcers, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Or they're just employees who are mean. I don't know. And Jack beats them up. At one point, he swings out and double kicks both of them in the face, like off of a cart.
It's a cool move.
And then they just go to work.
Sure.
And they literally say like, we'll get you next time, Kelly. And then go through their little window and they're like, here's your papers. Like, what?
Because that's musical logic. That's what happens in musicals.
But it's insane. It's crazy. Yeah. Like the whole these two guys just got beat up by a gang of children. And then it's like, come here, Crutchy. Let me give you some papers to sell. It's
right.
Okay.
How much?
Yeah, the people need their news. I would be like, yeah, Jack Kelly, you're not buying from here today. Sorry, you just kicked me in the face. You just did a Batman and swung out from the shadows as if I'm the Joker.
It's the understanding they have.
I guess so. I guess, yeah, it must be.
Did you understand, and you probably did, now I've only seen it once, and I specifically didn't dig too much.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is wanted
Jack is wanted, yes. By Snyder.
Yes.
For escaping.
Just like, for escaping.
Yeah.
For escaping.
Yeah. But he didn't escape.
But it just seems so blown out of proportion.
Snyder, he just wants as many kids in his refuge as he can, because the more kids he gets, the more funding from the government he gets.
Right.
Teddy Roosevelt comes into town and I guess talks to Jack. Maybe Jack explains like, hey, I was starving. Teddy Roosevelt's like, all right, you're coming with me, kid. Maybe there was no official paperwork that happened. Maybe, you know. And so Snyder is just like, oh, this is a kid that I can show like he was here. Now he's not. He quote unquote escaped and I can get him back. And, you know, I think it's like a bitterness thing too, where it's like.
It's very bitter.
Yeah. I'm sure Jack was gloating about the fact that he left the refuge in Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, I'm sure he ruffled feathers. Yeah.
We keep talking, by the way, about Kevin. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I should probably learn by now. Kevin Teague? Kevin Teague.
Mm-hmm.
He's Nick's dad in Freaks and Geeks, which, if you haven't listened to yet, we do a recap show, Weirdcast, over on our Patreon, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. He also plays John Locke's dad in Lost.
Dude.
And he plays Snyder in Newsies. Has he ever played a nice guy, is my question.
He doesn't play nice. That's it.
Maybe that's in his resume. Kevin Teague, I don't play nice.
I don't play nice.
But he's like truly like the worst dad in like TV history.
Yeah.
And so I think watching him as Snyder growing up, I was like I had like a predisposition when I saw him in Lost. I was just like, oh no, Snyder, get out of here. Go back to the refuge.
I can't trust you.
Yeah.
I know what you're about.
Yeah. Also, a quick shout out to Michael Lerner as Mr. Wiesel. Also, Cher Horowitz's father in the Clueless TV show.
Wait, really?
Yes. He takes over for Dan Hedaya in the TV show.
Oh my God.
Yep. Blank Check. I don't know if you remember him in Blank Check.
I do remember Blank Check. Yeah. I don't remember him in it, but I do remember Blank Check.
He's great. He's in A Serious Man, Barton Fink. He's in Elf as the evil publicist guy who makes them have a meeting on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So Maria says that Crutchy is far and away the best character in this movie. How do you feel about Crutchy? And if you were a child with a disability, how would you feel about your name being Crutchy?
Wow. Well, when she said that, when we were listening, my jaw dropped and you made a face like, yeah, can you believe she said that? Like Crutchy being the best character?
I was kind of saying, yeah, I kind of maybe agree.
Really?
I don't know. Crutchy's pretty great.
I feel like they're all pretty great. I think my favorite is Spot Conlon because he's like 2 feet tall and we're scared of Brooklyn. So
yes.
And I love the slingshots. And I love when him and his gang arrive. And his newsies from Brooklyn arrive to take care of business. So he's my favorite.
Right at the exact moment.
Yeah.
They were apparently hiding in all the ledges already. I mean...
They were ready to go.
Well, you know what? He was like, all right, boys, let's wait and see what these Manhattan newsies are going to do.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Also, like, I think, well, I should finish the thought. The second part of your question was, how would I feel if I was injured?
Yeah.
And I was a newsie or I'm a kid?
You're a newsie.
Oh, and that was my name? Crutchy?
Yeah. Again, it'd be like if your name was like Fatty or something.
Yeah, but it comes from a place of love.
Does it?
Yes.
You think all these prepubescent boys are giving nicknames out of love?
It's giving like Peter Pan. It's giving Seven Dwarfs. Everybody has their gang nickname.
You know, I never thought about this in the context of like Jack and Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. But yeah.
I mean, this is exactly it.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Who's your favorite? You think Crutchy is it?
I mean, Jack is great, of course.
Okay, you can't pick Jack. You can't
Davey's
pick
like
Jack.
a wet blanket, man.
Is he? He's the voice. Jack is the face, but David, and also he's giving PETA vibes from Hunger Games.
Okay.
Which I love PETA, but
all right, sure. David Mascow, he was in Big.
Mhm.
You know,
The kid.
I think
yeah.
he's great. I mean, I think he's really capable. I believe him. You know, especially in the song and dance numbers. You know,
Yeah.
I think he does a good job, and despite none of them having done this before, I think Mush was a professional singer and dancer. Which, by the way, he's currently married to Idina Menzel. I don't know
I
if you know that.
know.
Yeah,
I saw that.
crazy. Good for you, Mush.
I took care of a cat named Mush once. And I had to give them injections for diabetes.
In their tush?
No. Mush in the tush?
I don't know.
Just mush the mush.
You
I just
know.
love taking care of mush.
If you got to give Mush a medicine push in the tush.
I see what you're doing here.
I'm desperately trying to think of another one.
Yeah. Kush.
And then he ran out the room in a whoosh.
That's right.
Anyway, I don't have time.
I also get a kick out of Higgins. Is that his name? Max Casella's
Oh, yeah. Racetrack
character.
Higgins.
Racetrack Higgins has the best lines. Like, for one, my favorite is they're asking, like, they're looking for him. Snyder comes in looking for refuge, and he's hiding. And he's like, I heard he put a egg in his shoe and beat it. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm using this in my daily life.
He's the one who says, Brooklyn, I spent a month there one night. And then also he's like, hey, remember that hot tip I told you about the horse? Yeah, nobody told the horse. It's like so Groucho.
Great.
Yeah, it's like Groucho stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just so hard to take Max Casella because of that voice. And like no shade to Max Casella. That's how he really sounds. But the accent's truly, it's like ping pong. You have to like hold on for dear life and like watch this with captions and try to.
Yes. Oh, I can't imagine watching this without captions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Racetrack, Boots, Spot, they were all based on real famous Newsies from different districts. It's so funny to me that this is like a documented thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So I just wanted to quickly mention some of the other songs because they're so great.
Sure.
Seize the Day, great song.
That's a great one.
I think my second favorite song, and it's again like it comes at a point where we're like dragging a little bit, but it's For Once and For All. I just love the music in it, like as they're printing the newspaper. And it's the Newsies version of One Day More, where we get like all the different characters saying the different things.
Yeah.
And then last thing, Bill Pullman. What is your relationship with Bill Pullman, like as an actor? Like, do you know him from stuff?
Yeah, he's the dad in Casper.
Very true. Very true.
So that's how I know him.
All right.
And
he's also the husband in A League of Their Own.
Yes, of course. Right. Which we discovered this year. Well, I discovered this year.
Have you seen Independence Day?
Yeah, but like not enough where it lives in my brain.
Okay, got it. Yeah. That was 96, a few years later, and he plays the president.
Yeah.
He gives the speech at the end of Independence Day, and like from that speech alone, everyone always lists him as like the greatest movie president of all time. And
you know, I always like in my mind, Independence Day and Mars Attacks are interchangeable.
No.
I get it. I'm just saying how it works in my brain.
No, I think I get that too.
Don't they have like the same shot of the White House?
That's for a long time, I had 8.5 confused with 8mm with Nicolas Cage, and those are like the two most different movies of all time.
Yeah.
So I get it. And of course, we didn't name her, but Meta is played by the great Anne Margaret, and I think that she does a good job. I just am confused about the relationship with these children. So when I picked this movie to do for like movie music month, we were still in the throes of the longest actor strike that has ever happened. And I just thought it was pretty interesting that Disney was like one of the main studios who were still like holding out on what accounted to be like 1% of profits or something crazy like that, you know, they shut down an entire industry for because they couldn't come to an agreement and like pay the workers and like agree to more fair conditions and agreements. like in the real world, the paper Pulitzer's paper went from something like 365,000 printed per day to like 150. It was like way less than like half.
Wow.
Over pennies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like this strike, it wasn't the first strike. I think it was like the 5th strike in 10 years or something like that. And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Child labor was insane.
It still is.
Wow, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's like the kind of bittersweet or mostly just bitter thing about this movie. Everything is said and done. Our heroes win. And then it's like, well, let's go back to work.
I know.
We're supposed to be like, hooray, the children can return to work.
Yeah. That's his dream. He's got family now. I can't even do Jack's accent.
You wouldn't say goodbye. Wait, you wouldn't kick me out without giving a kiss goodbye, would you, Meta?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when he
Mother, father, daughter, son. Ain't you glad no one's waiting up for you?
Seth, I want you to perform Santa Fe for me.
I will pull a Maria and I will do this entire movie. Yeah.
That should have been our live show.
Just us
Seth,
doing Newsies.
One night only. Seth only.
It's called
Newsies.
It's called Newsie.
Yes.
But so in real life, though, a lot of girls were Newsies and they completely just kept them out of this. And one of the reasons why the papers were able to go so long is the rule was you don't soak girls.
And
so they were actually
everything.
They were beating up Newsies. You know, they're beating up scabs and stuff as
Soak
they
'em.
should. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But they were like, but we don't hit broads. Leave the dames alone.
At least they had some sort of standard.
Yeah. And that whole thing about holding the rally and deciding to do like peaceful protesting after that, that's all true. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I recommend, like, if you watch this movie and you're confused about like a few parts, just look into it. More than likely, they're basing it on the truth and not just like what is the best story.
Right. And you'll understand Pulitzer a little bit.
Right. Unless a black woman is involved, in which case we just axe her and she didn't exist.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll make her Swedish.
Last thing, I promise. Tell me about Teddy Roosevelt.
It's almost like Teddy who? Does Teddy even speak?
Why does he look like a wax figure at the
end?
It's so upsetting. He's so red and shiny.
I know. Were you waiting for him to talk?
I don't know if it was the type of thing where they're like, let's get a look-alike, but then he talks like this. You know what I mean?
It was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, because Jack is saying things to him that a person would respond to.
Yes.
And instead you just get like a goofy smile and he like turns his head. He's like, my boy. Like, you couldn't even give me one, my boy.
It's like they just dressed up a hot dog. Because he's so shiny and red.
Yes.
And, like, put glasses on a stick. Yeah. Turned him a little bit.
If you told me that was the Monopoly Man, I would believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Roosevelt was involved. A few years later, there was something called the Children's Crusade in Pennsylvania. It was organized by Mother Jones, and they marched to his house in New York because he was the governor at the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, not to diss, Teddy Roosevelt and
no shade
helping with child labor laws or anything, but my goodness, this is such an odd representation of him on this
exactly
screen.
We're just criticizing this part.
We're just tearing apart what a human being looks like.
Is that actually a human though? We don't know.
He's dead by now. I mean, this was filmed in 94.
The actor?
Definitely. He's not listening.
I can't wait to get a you wrong from this dude.
Oh my God. If I got put in my place by wax figure.
I know.
Roosevelt.
And it's not his fault. Let's blame costume department
Yeah.
and directing and makeup. It's not you.
Hey, Jack, what are you hanging around here for? Like Love Nest, Nude. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm talking too much. Sorry, now I'm just going to say a bunch of lines.
Okay, good.
No, I'm just going through my notes really quick. In my notes, I wrote, Pulitzer is so weird. Why does he act like this? Oh my gosh, he had noise sensitivity.
Okay, I wrote in my notes, LOL in big caps, the figuring out numbers where he's like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Yes.
Was that Pulitzer? I was like, what is happening?
I can't even do it.
I know I tried to write it out and I put hand emojis. Like I would know what that meant.
Duvall must have done that and they were like, yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I mean, I'm into it. That's how I want to figure out my numbers.
Human calculator. Hey, headlines don't sell papes.
Newsies sell papes.
Newsies sell papes.
I was really trying to be witty and come up with how we could use this for movie friends and headlines. And I was like, I'm not the smart one here. You are. You should have seen what I was trying to workshop, Seth.
Hey, studios don't sell movies. Friends sell movies.
Hey! This guy.
How do you feel about spitting on your hand and shaking?
Oh.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. It's disgusting. It happens 3 times in this movie.
I know.
It's like, please stop now.
But that's how you do business.
That's
how you do business.
This is a good reminder that business is dirty, I guess. I don't know.
Super dirty.
And of course, we got to kiss Sarah before the movie can end for a minute straight.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was one move before we go on.
Yeah.
I have to mention this. There was one move during a dance sequence where you link your arms together and you jump through. So it's kind of like you're a human jump rope.
Oh.
And I've always wanted to do that. Wouldn't that be so cool to just like whip that out?
Oof. Yes, that would be pretty cool. You could probably do it.
I don't think so, Seth.
I'm just saying, of the two of us, one is a little more spry.
I'm thinking if you had really long arms and maybe
Anthony.
shorter legs. I know, but Ant's got long legs.
Okay.
I could ask him. He's going to be like, no.
Tell him that should be his New Year's goal. To practice
jump rope with his
Newsie
arms.
Dancing moves. Did he watch this, by the way?
He didn't. And he was like, I actually have never seen like musical turn into movies ever. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so like he says this as I'm starting it. Like 10 minutes later, I pause Newsies. I'm like, Grease! You've seen Grease!
True.
And he's like, oh yeah, I've seen Grease. And I was like, what about Hairspray? And he's like, I've seen parts of Hairspray.
Unfortunately, wow, he only has Grease to go on. That sucks.
And West Side Story.
Not as good.
Not my favorite. That's my mom's favorite.
Oh yeah?
Well, it was a first date with my mom and dad. Actually, her favorite is Les Mis. Anyway, let's move on.
That's one of my favorites, yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie's made for $15 million, which again, hey, I think that's great. Makes $2.8 million at the box office. Not even 3. Horrible.
Yikes.
This movie currently has 39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I believe it.
Bogus. 3.3 on Letterboxd. 46 on Metacritic. Roger Ebert gave this 1.5 stars. Yeah.
Oh my God.
People are not in love with this movie.
He clearly wasn't a homeschool kid.
So let's go to a segment we are calling What the Keck. Stands for Cut, Edit, Keep. So what are you keeping? What are you editing? What are you cutting?
Okay, I'm keeping King of New York.
Okay.
I'm actually going to edit that and make it a little bit longer.
Whoa.
And edit down Santa Fe even more.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to cut up like what we talked about with, this is so hard. I don't know where I'm trim. We're going to cut a lot, like little snippets. Like completely, I don't know what I'm cutting completely. It feels like with me, like edit and cut kind of go hand in hand.
Sure.
Because I, as much as I thought this movie went on for too long, I think every scene probably is supposed to be there.
Okay.
How'd you like that? Did you like that zoom out of like, we're going to Brooklyn, let's zoom out?
I did.
and
I actually did.
show?
I wrote that down. I was like, it's a cool effect because we have them for real.
Yeah.
And then we zoom
Yes.
out to what looks like a matte painting.
I mean, it shows the journey.
Yeah. So it was good. It was a good effect.
Yeah. What are you doing?
So I'm keeping Santa Fe and I'm bringing it back. Whatever was cut, I want.
You're going to edit
the
more
whole
in.
thing. Yeah.
Let's make this movie longer. Great.
I'm editing some of the stuff with Jack and Sarah, not because I don't like Sarah. I just don't really need it.
Yeah.
And I'm cutting the entire storyline where Jack turns scab. I want him to escape from prison, go straight to the distribution center in the middle of the night, break in, find out that they have a press. Boom.
Are you cutting the conversation, the bribe?
Nope. That can stay.
You're keeping that. It's just when he's
That's
in
a
like
great scene.
I
where It's
know.
like, he's like the devil. Like
yes.
Pulitzer shows up and he's all in red. And
Yes,
I thought that was good. Yeah.
You can't cut that, but you're going to cut like him standing outside dressed in the fancy clothes.
Just like I said, like from when they come and they're like, all right, let's go. And he's like, no, you go. They're like, why? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he just goes back to the refuge and cut the Delanceys with the brass knuckles and the.
Yeah.
I don't need any of it. Like I said, all that does to me is it finds out that there's a printing press underneath YSL's office. There's a million other ways you could do that. Pick right back up with going to Denton and saying, we're going to print a paper.
Yeah.
It makes this movie 10 minutes shorter. And yeah, we lose some of the historical accuracy, but who cares? So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Melissa D'Agostino at Melissa Dags says, can't wait for this one. I remember reading an interview with Bale where he had signed on not really considering the musical numbers and then wanted to just hang out in a pub while they filmed them to avoid having to dance. But someone had to soak him for Crutchy. And I'm so glad that Melissa brought up that line. That's the greatest line in this movie. And I have thought about that many times in my life.
You should get that tattooed on you.
I will. It's a great idea. And I will do that.
Do you have a Newsie tattoo?
I don't, but I do now.
Yeah, you do now.
Let's soak him for Crutchy. I might get that like across my
yeah, that's good.
collarbone. Honestly, that's really funny.
That's real good.
Yeah. Thanks, Melissa. Wow.
Thank you, Dax.
Melissa's listening to this like, oh no, what? That's
I
just wanted to talk about Newsies. And you know what? When I get that tattoo, I'm gonna put a little dash and then write Melissa Dags.
Yes.
Don't think I won't either.
Oh, you will.
Jamila Brownie
at
Jamila Brownie says, I love this movie. I watched it when I was young. I think my younger sister introduced me to it. It was introduced to her at school, much like Maria.
Oh,
something was going on here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought it looked dumb, but it won me over real quick. We then rewatched it all the time. Every song is great. King of New York is the best.
Thank you, Jamila.
My sister and I used to crack up during the verse in Carrying the Banner when the random lady sings, Patrick, darling, since you left me, I've been undone. Which I can sing that too, but I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. Like, who the heck was she and who was Patrick? LOL. And that is also another thing that's like historical, but they don't give us the stuff, you know. She's a mom who's like looking for her runaway child, who's like run away and joined the Newsies and, you know, lives in a boarding house now.
Yeah.
I love how much Christian hates this movie. It gives me a chuckle to know how infuriated his Welsh butt must have been when they decided to make it a musical. I imagine him trying to contain his rage in between takes. That's all for my Newsies commentary. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila.
And he has since come back around on this movie.
Yeah. Just needed some time apart from it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Kate Miller, who we heard from. We're getting double Kate this episode.
Double Kate. Like double mint gum.
Ooh.
Double your pleasure.
No, that's Mentos.
Oh, the fresh maker. Wait.
Ooh, ah. I'm the king of New York. What's double mint gum?
Double your pleasure, double your fun.
W-
Doublemint?
W pleasure.
You were on the right track.
I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kate.
Sorry, Kate.
Kate, good friend and patron. Kate, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. Kate recommended a movie to me, and I watched it, and it was so cool. Like, I had such a fun time with it. And it was also a musical.
It totally would be cool because Kate is cool.
Yeah, it's called Girl Trash, but it's like a sequel. About this. Yeah. Have I talked about this on the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if anyone out there wants to recommend me a lesser seen movie, I will watch it. It might take me a while, but I will watch it. So now I associate that movie with Kate. And so now in my mind, Kate is like the fun, weird musical person, as evidenced by her writing in for Newsies.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
She says, I was 13 when this movie came out. I remember my best friend and I being so excited for it and reading lots of articles about Christian Bale in Bop magazine.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember anything about the actual movie, though, and have never felt compelled to rewatch it, but I might now.
Wow. First Josie, now this?
I know. Swiss Duck. No, wait.
No.
Swiss Ducky.
Swiss Ducky?
Yeah, the winner of our enamel pin giveaway.
I wasn't a part of that, Seth.
At Ducky Swiss.
Oh my God. These kill me. Nothing kills me more than when it's swapped and I never see it coming. I never see it coming and it gets me every time.
He says, I effing hate this musical. Like I despise it wholeheartedly.
Swiss Ducky, who hurt you?
I don't know.
I need more. Swiss Ducky.
Felicia
Ducky Swiss.
At Cinnamaroni.
Cinnamon Noodle. It's been a minute since I've called her that.
Okay. It is so insane that you just said that because I almost put in my notes here. Wow. Michelle, you haven't called her Cinnamon Noodle in a while. I swear. I have no reason to lie to you.
You don't. Okay. I told you I'm trying not to interrupt you as much anymore.
That's okay.
I have failed this episode, though.
She says, first, your musical month has been top tier. Thank you. Second, I used to watch this movie all the time, and I tried so hard to learn the choreography for the Seize the Day number. Third, I listen to the soundtrack regularly and know all of the words. Fourth, Bill Pullman forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Michael Del Vasto, at Mike Del Vasto.
He has a Twitter?
Good friend and patron, Mike Del Vasto.
Our troll.
Says, I may or may not have a Newsies cap that I wear to the bank when I go pay my bills and cash my checks on my way to market for fresh bread and meat. And then he put 2 laughing, crying emojis.
The thing is, that's 100% true. He's not making that up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is a great movie. I was pleasantly surprised by the singing voices. I'm excited that this is part of November. Mike, we want to see a picture of this hat as you cash your checks.
He sent me. I'm pretty sure I've seen him in the hat cashing the checks and getting the bread and the meats.
So there's some people that we do know. Now we'll go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. All right, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. And we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. And I'm going to read the half-star review as just a bad New York accent.
Newsie. You're reading it as a newsie.
I'm reading it as a newsie.
I want you to be passionate. You're selling this pape to me today.
This is fresh off the pape press. What was up with that redheaded kid in the beginning? Hey, keep it going. Get the lead out of your pants. I was like, what is your job? You're hired as yeller? Like, come on,
He's got to keep it moving.
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey. In the streets of New York. On the streets of New York. The voice of the Newsies. Right? Something like that, right? Okay.
Yeah, but sell it.
Sad to say, this deeply cynical and socialist movie. I'm so bad at accents. It's insane. Okay.
Yeah.
Which includes Christian Bale. Oh my God, I'm doing
Christian Bale. You just went south.
Country. This is a New York accent. dancing like he is riding. Why can't I do New York? This is crazy. Okay. Which includes Christian Bale dancing like he's riding a horse. Somehow did not do it for me at all. Half star.
See, that person in my mind sounds how you just sounded. So that works.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Riding the horse didn't work.
No, not at all.
No.
Even being cynical and socialist was not enough.
Yeah.
3-star review says, imagine getting hired to play a labor organizer in a historical drama about the Newsboys strike, and then finding out after you get there that it's actually a musical and you not only have to sing, but also have a dance solo.
This is pretty funny, actually.
It's great.
It's great. Wow.
It's like, hey, you're going to play Napoleon. And then you show up and like, by the way, you have to learn how to dance. 5-star review says, I have seen this movie an embarrassing amount of times. It is spectacular. I have a million questions, but one persistent thought, and that is, I would empty my entire bank account to see Christian Bale reprise his role for one night on the Newsies tour. 5 stars is simply not enough.
Wow. Well, Christian Bale couldn't play Jack. That wouldn't be very accurate.
He'd have to play Snyder at this point.
Or Pulitzer.
True. All right. We have a rating system that Michelle came up with. It's called a Schmovie Movie Film. We also rate the movie 1 through 5 stars and give our final thoughts and recommendations. Michelle, take it away.
All right. This is a movie.
Okay.
And I'm rating it 3 stars.
All right.
It's a good time. I got a kick out of it. I will say, I enjoyed watching this one way more than the producers.
Wow.
Even though this one dragged a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I would recommend. If you haven't seen, put it on and laugh.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. What a babe. Hoo-ah. Okay, what are you doing?
What are you doing? I think is the question.
I'm thinking about Christian Bale.
I think this is a movie, and I don't know why. I guess I was trying to be, I don't know, is pragmatic the right word? I had this rated as 3 stars on Letterboxd.
Okay.
And I'm changing that definitely to 4 stars.
Hey.
Definitely.
Good.
Yeah. I think that it has problems, but like I said, all the problems kind of come together to make it a whole thing.
Yeah.
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 Hey, if you want to come together like a whole thing.
Not your best, but keep it going. Keep it going.
You can support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. It's $5 a month. You get access to 4 additional shows, patron-only Discord. We're going to be doing voting on themes and movies coming up in 2024. So if you want your voice heard, one voice to join with many more, as Bill Pullman said. Join us. It's fun. It's cool, man. Who cares? Whatever. Money's not real.
No.
You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you think about Newsies. If you ever bagged groceries for Joan Cusack, if you ever stole from Katy Perry, anything really.
Did you read lines with Mike Feist?
We would love to know. Somebody has.
I don't know.
Multiple people has.
Yeah.
Have.
Has.
And we'd love it if you'd give us a rating and a review. Remember, until December 1st. And it's you to drawing for a $50 Visa gift card. Okay. November flew by.
Dude.
Crazy.
How is it over already?
Like really crazy, right?
It feels like the fastest one yet.
Yeah.
What did we even do this month? I don't even feel like
Josie
I
and
processed
the Pussycats, the producers, Newsies, and the final film.
Right. The final film is...
So, next week, finishing out movies about music, we're going back to 1984 to a director that we've covered before.
Who, Seth? Tell us.
So we're going to talk about This Is Spinal Tap from 1984, directed by Rob Reiner.
It's called This Is Spinal Tap?
It is called This Is Spinal Tap. It's currently streaming on Pluto TV.
Ugh. How come everybody always says Spinal Tap? No one ever says this is Spinal Tap.
I don't know. Well, maybe you'll find out next week.
I better.
Yeah. Wow, almost done. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. This was a good one. Thank you, Maria.
Yes. Thank you, Maria.
And everyone else.
Inspiring us. Last thought. If you had to watch one movie every day for a month, what would it be?
Probably Clueless.
Okay.
Or Superbad.
Wow, okay.
Or Bridesmaids. Or Mean Girls.
Okay.
Or Something Borrowed.
I've never seen Something Borrowed.
It's a good one. Is yours Clifford?
No, mine would probably be like 12 Angry Men. Because I did watch that like a ton. Yeah.
Every day you're watching 12 Angry Men?
Yep. I also, one week, I watched The Shining on loop.
I can't. I can't.
So the only reason I wouldn't go with The Shining is because of its length. It's pretty long. So yeah, probably like 12 Angry Men. Michelle has she's distraught.
Goodbye.
Okay. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Till next week when we're talking about This is Spinal Tap. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Pecora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!